Hello people, how you doing? Scotty. So I just recently got this Sigma sports lens. It's the Sigma 150 to 600mm f5 to 6.3 DG HSM OS Sports. You can get the contemporary version of this lens, and the contemporary version is £2 lighter in terms of its weight. It's more of a plastic construction, you know, in terms of its build. But for this, you can hear it's got more of a metal construction for the sports one, and even for the lens hood itself, it does have that metal type construction. It's easy enough to put the lens hood on and take it back off. Sometimes you do, well, in fact most of the time you get these lens hoods that are plastic, and let's just say sometimes they get caught in the threading. For this, it's just a simple turn of the snib. You can take the actual lens hood off, sit it on top, and it's just a case of, you know, turning the actual snib to tighten it, and it's on. It's very easy to take on and off for this, and that's an advantage. Perhaps a disadvantage is the weight of it. Like I say, the weight of the lens for something of this build quality, the metal construction, you expect it to be heavier. So it adds more weight on, and especially for this lens, if you have this zoomed out at 600mm, it's more weight at the very end of the lens, and it can, you know, put it this way, in terms of focusing at 600, you do feel the weight at the end, and especially if you're trying to focus on something, it can be a wee bit of a disadvantage. The thing that I do love about this lens, however, is the lock switch. I think it's very important. I can just quickly show you. Even at zoomed out at 600, you'll see it does slide back down. Now, that's what's great about having the, if you're zoomed out at 600, you have the lock switch, it's not going to go back down again. So that's obviously an advantage about having that. You can, of course, set the focal length. Say for example I wanted to set it at 300, I can lock the switch there, and it's, you know, you can lock it at any focal length that you desire. For this lens, when I first went out using it, I went to Drumpellier Loch. I just got the lens, you know, the sun was somewhat there, and I decided to go and just give it a wee test using it handheld, because people, like I say, spoke about the weight of it. From my experience using this, it is quite heavy. Using this zoomed out at something like 600, then of course, as I say, it does take a wee bit getting used to, and especially if you're, you know, shooting ducks and you're trying to get a steady shot. Because zoomed out at 600, it stops down to 6.3 aperture. If you're in a situation where you have to use the faster shutter speed, you're compensating by using the higher ISO setting, so you do lose a bit of quality. Perhaps that's something of a disadvantage you could look at, but think about it this way: you would literally pay 6,000 to 12,000 odd pounds for a lens where you would have an f4 aperture, a 2.8 aperture, with image stabilization, and, you know, the fantastic, you know, autofocus and all the rest of it. So you can't complain for what you're getting. I mean, you're paying, what, £1,200 for something of real, you know, professional, sturdy build quality, proper weather sealing. It'd be fantastic for that. After all, it rains a lot in Scotland, so that's something, obviously, I went for that, you know, purpose. It's not that you would ever want to drop the lens, but, you know, if you did, then, you know, this lens would take a battering, unlike, you know, something that's plastic and, you know, you don't trust. I went to the Loch Lomond Birds of Prey Centre, and that was well worth it. Somewhere I would obviously go back. Really nice people that work there. It's obviously their birds that they look after, and it's something I enjoyed my day there. So you can see, just using the lens itself, it takes a bit getting used to. As I say, I mean, with a fence around me, was quite a bit of a bother, especially when it's obstructing my view. And just using the actual lens itself, in terms of its weight, it can go against you. You can see that it's a wee bit of a bother studying it. So I did use the fence to help me in order to get some cracking pictures. And here's a few of them. One of the pictures I captured here, and this is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'm very pleased with the lens. Some of the portrait shots I was capturing with this, it's just spectacular. And I was fortunate enough that it was a really sunny day. And another one of the pictures I captured, and it's another one of the birds. Really fantastic. I mean, one thing you would expect, and people have said, is the sharpness, and that's what you really do get. You can see the sharpness of the lens capturing the birds. You can see the sharpness in the eye, the contrast in its feathers and things, and really beautiful. Because of the situation and the weight of it, then I decided to try the lens out using a tripod, as well, of course, the monopod. You'd probably be better off using the monopod, simply because of the fact that it is quite a bit of a bother using the tripod. I suppose it depends. It's setting the tripod up to the right height and things like that. Whereas a monopod, it's you know, simpler to use to a certain degree. And like I say, when you've got a fence in your way obstructing your view, then you know, it can be a bit more difficult. Overall, I'm very pleased. And some of the examples I can show you. This was like me shooting. It was actually just outside the Sea Life Centre. I'm a good distance, you can see a good distance away from the other end of that part of the Loch of Loch Lomond. That's the southern part, and just at the other end, you can see the sort of beach area where a lot of the families are out, and there was birds in the distance and things. So I decided to, you know, take some of the test shots of the people out in the boats, and some of the pictures at the other end of the people, you know, just at the other end where the beach was. And just to give you an idea, you can see obviously from recording of me using this lens, the fair distance I was away from the beach. And here's some of the pictures that you can see of the other end. And it's just you can see the people's faces very clearly. Pretty, you know, sharp, and the quality. So anyway, people, I will get, you know, show you more of the pictures, and you can see more video. But if you have any questions on that, feel free to ask me in the comment section below, and I will be sure to get back to you. There is, of course, other switches, and there is things that, you know, I haven't got around to using yet. You get the common manual and autofocus switches, and the manual override is something that you get used to and read more into. The focal distance that you're going to be shooting from, of course the image stabilization, which is OS. On this type of lens, it's optical stabilization, and of course you've got you can switch this to off, but you also have the custom 1 and 2. You can get a separate USB dock, and the USB dock allows you to calibrate your lens to set custom 1 and custom 2, and that's something I had done before I went to the Birds of Prey Centre, and it's well worth looking into. Before I pop off and show you the rest of the video, I would like to also recommend you to this, which is a Dean Bricknell photography. I think that Birds of Prey Centre, they do have connection with this photographer or whoever, and I'm pretty sure they have some connection with Jessops. So, you know, that's something to look into. and I'll leave you the photographer's details below in the description area below, where you can check that out. And obviously a very big thanks to the Birds of Prey Centre at Loch Lomond themselves for allowing me to, you know, take the pictures. And of course I do hope that for a project, when it comes to doing other professional, like shooting birds from outside, I hope I can use them. But overall, thanks to the Birds of Prey Centre for allowing me to use this within their area, shooting the birds. And so if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. And enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you for watching. Cheers.